Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they war. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes countries. Lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force of air. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat right here on Revolution Radio, excuse me for that, UCY.TV, and I'm your host for the next hour. And it's getting damned interesting. What are you damned goyim up to this evening? Well, I tell you what us damn goyim are up to this evening. We are making considerable headway. And we're working to take our nations back and hand them back to the men and women and children who actually built these nations. So I just got off the phone with somebody working with Michael Schmidt, the raw milk farmer in my neck of the woods, who has been working his way through this unlawful system for 20 plus years, getting ready to go to court for a 5-day trial for obstruction of justice beginning on March the 6th. And theoretically, the trial should last about 12 minutes, but they got it scheduled for 5 days because after trying to hang Michael for 20-some years, I guess they want to spend all the money and time they possibly can. But the farther they move, the longer this goes on, and this is what people need to understand. You don't bow down to these clowns. You can't win. These aren't quick win battles. Okay, they're not quick win. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of spine, it takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of dedication, and it takes men with high moral bearings. I mean, you're walking into a system that is a corporate system that does not recognize any man or woman, anything that is alive, they don't recognize. They only deal with persons in a legal system, which is a corporate system, and they turn you into a legal person, which is an account, which is liable, of which you are both the surety for the debts and the payee of the debts. It's a very sad, sick system, but that's what we find ourselves in. And it kills me, some people say, well, I just want this to end tomorrow. Well, it ain't going to end tomorrow. It's been on our backs for centuries. And it's going to take some concerted effort to get it off our backs. But Michael is the type of guy that we need a hell of a lot more for. And a lot of people look to Michael as some sort of a hero, and Michael gets it, and I get it. The last thing that we need is heroes. Heroes are for comic books and movies and stuff like that. Heroes are not for reality. The problem with a hero is when they take the hero down, then everybody goes back to being weak chicken shits, and that's no good. We got to instill some pride in the people. We got to instill some strength into the people. So anyways, I don't have any doubt that Michael and the others charged are going to be victorious in this last kick at the can for the so-called government. And all the government is the board of directors of the corporation. And, more and more people are finally starting to understand that. Now, a good pork is unclean, a good dinner for you goyim. Well, I ain't a goyim. I'm a man. And I'm finding the Jews to be the most interesting little group of people that I've really looked into. I never spent much time looking at the Jews. I just thought it was a silly thing to start with, but the Jews are the ones that brought us multiculturalism. The Jews are the ones that propagate the wars. The Jews are the ones who, I remember when I was a little wee kid, and that's a long, long time ago. I used to kind of scratch my head, somebody would say, well, I bought this thing and it didn't work. It only worked for a day and it broke. Oh, so you got Jewed. Well, that pretty much tells you all you need to know about the Jews, isn't it? They're a tricky bunch. How tricky are they? Well, I'm not supposed to say anything bad about a Jew. Well, if you're a dick and crooked and immoral and deceive people and harm people, then I don't care who you are or what you are, I'm going to give you tongue lashing. This idea I can't say anything bad about a Jew is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. Now, the Jews, most of them ain't even Jews. But that's a nice little deception. I didn't know there could be such a thing. I had no idea there could be such a thing as an atheist Jew. But there are tons of them. I didn't know there could be a humanist Jew, but there are apparently tons of those. And those are the Jews that are the manipulators and the deceivers, because you see, they're out without any moral compass whatsoever. And this is the problem with our societies, the lack of moral compass. Now, I'm not sure, I can't be sure of that, but sometimes I have this little thing running around in my head of the first lawyer on the planet, this little hook-nosed Jew running around. Because they use jargon and cant language, which is to gain an upper hand and to deceive. And that's exactly what the legal system is. It's a deception. And it's used to feed off of you and everybody else. It's used to enslave you. So, Goyim, I guess I'll have to take a Jew to the Human Rights Tribunal because, I feel like I've been abused by someone calling me or anyone else a Goyim. Now, if I can't call you a Jew or call you out for some of the nefarious things that you've done, then to call me or anyone else a goy or goyim is slander. And now they're using the same card with the Muslims, but then the Jews and the Muslims are all tangled up to this together. So we can't say anything bad. We can't even have an opinion, a negative opinion of a Jew or a Muslim. Once you understand the template system is being used, it's not hard to make these connections. So, like this crazy Muslim woman who is a cabinet minister, I believe, in the or an MP at least. I don't know if she's a cabinet minister, but an MP in Ottawa, in the federal government, trying to pass this, I think it's 103 or whatever, this anti-Islamic or Islamophobia bill, so that no one can say anything negative, look negative, think negatively, or anything else about a Muslim. Now, she put up her explanation of it on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it was. It was shot live, and you know, I just wrote and I said, you know, like, I know what you're up to, and I'm offended, and you have no right to offend me. If I have no right to offend you, you most definitely have no right to offend me. And I finished up, which I wish everybody would attest to or use. And I just wrote her and I said, look, I say what I mean what I say. If you don't like it, you can walk away. That, and only that, is freedom of speech. And nobody, but nobody, has the right to tell me how to think, what to say, when to say it, in what tone to say it, or anything else. If you don't like it, then voice your opinion back or leave. Simple as that. And people nowadays are so afraid to speak their mind, it is really sad. It's like a bunch of scared little children. Oh, you can't say that or the teacher will get mad at you and put you in the corner. Well, I'm really pissed. Don't say that. You'll get in trouble. You know, there's a teacher here in Ontario who is getting dragged across the razor blades, I guess, because he is not a happy camper that the children in the school in which he works are being lined up like cattle in the cafeteria and vaccinated without consent of the parents and without disclosure or consent of the children. Now, they're trying to make an example of this guy, and they're calling him an anti-vaxxer and that. And he says, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I am pro-consent. And you didn't get the consent of the parents, you didn't get the consent of the children, and you've given nobody any disclosure about what the hell you're jamming into their arms. Now, that's what a normal man or woman should be doing. But everybody's so frightened because, well, we'll get dragged over the coals like this guy. And that's why we find ourselves in the situation we are in today. Now, I have a counselor here, and this is good for me, I guess. I have a counselor here, and I was sent this not too long before showtime. We have a counselor here in my hometown, and I know the guy. I've known him for years and years and years. He's a farmer. I don't think he's the brightest guy on the planet, but he does have certain values, and I believe this is attached to a gentleman and his father who, even though the son works, this is the guy that started the business. It's like a Fred Sanford kind of thing. It's a metal recycling thing. And they, where the house was designated commercial and commercial residential. So he'd been running this thing since, I don't know, mid 80s. And people love it. He'll come and pick up your fridge or your stove or dryer, washer, or whatever. If it's metal, he'll come get it for you. You don't have to deal with it. Just set it outside and he'll come pick it up. And he loads his trailers up and he takes them wherever he goes in the city and dumps them and makes a buck on it. And people like that service. You can drop it off at his house or he'll come pick it up at your house. And the place was always neat and tidy in that. And then the municipality, the corporation, smelt money. And they tried to shut him down. And then they got more ugly. There was a water meter or something that they were having a hard time reading, but that's not his problem. That's the municipality's problem. The water meters are their business. And so this particular counselor, Gordon Campbell, has lost a month's salary for violating the council code of conduct. Now, this isn't too long, so I'm going to read some of this and I'll explain what happened here. In a committee of the whole last night, March the 1st, Integrity Commissioner John J. Swayze, gave his report noting that Campbell had contravened 3 sections of the code, undermining confidence in the municipality by participating in illegal action against the municipality as a member of council, and contravened another 3 sections of the code in abusing members of staff in the workplace and falsely impugning their professional reputation. Now, what happened here is that this son and father, now this municipality is so crooked, it's ridiculous. I know the gentleman with the site recycling thing, and when his mortgage was coming up for renewal, the CAO, I'm probably the mayor because they're tied at the hip, actually contacted his financial institution and told them that if Scott didn't bow down to their requests, that they should not renew his mortgage. Now, they're putting a lot of pressure on these people, they were, and Scott's dad ended up having a heart attack. So the corporation, being the slugs that they are, and who have no moral capacity, because corporations, by definition, are amoral. They have no moral compass, and they like to abuse people. So I guess Gordon got involved with this because he does have a certain amount of moral fortitude and could see the abuse that these people were under and the pressure they were under to submit. This is all about submission again. And so I guess he got involved with the legal action against the municipality, of which he's a member of council, and contravened 3 other sections of the code in abusing members of the staff in the workplace and falsely impugning their professional reputation. Well, you can't falsely impugn the professional reputation of the staff or the CAO or the council of this or any other municipality, because their reputation is that of implementing Agenda 21. It is of using money to, again, they are the global to local. They are the local group who is in breach of trust by deceiving the people into thinking they are doing wonderful things for the community and the environment, when what they're doing is they're shoving down the throats of the people without disclosure, uh, of what they're up to, which is implementing the globalist corporate UN agendas into all municipalities throughout not just the West, but the entire friggin' world. So this Swayze guy who says that he's abusing members of the staff, he's not abusing, he's simply shining the light on what these people are up to. But the Integrity Commissioner, who is also hooked to the globalist UN corporate movement, is also attempting, his job is to protect the city managers / CAOs and the council, who are the puppets of the CAO and the staff. So he really didn't do a damn thing wrong. He did what he's supposed to do as a man. But this is corporate, so it's fantasy land. So that's the upside down world I talk about. So he recommended, that Swayze did, 30 days of the compensation paid to Campbell as a member of council be suspended, commencing from the next pay period. Swayze also warned that if the councillor's abusive behavior towards the staff continues and Swayze receives another complaint, I will recommend a larger suspension of his compensation. Mayor Ann the Dyke Eady, I don't know, I can't call her a dyke, but when I ran in the didn't run in the 2014 election because they wouldn't let me, because the last guy they want as mayor of this place, not the people, but the corporation, is me. So in 2014, I was out knocking doors with another lady I talked into running, and I found it rather amusing because Ann Eady is not what you would call the most feminine woman on the planet. And when I was knocking doors for Sheila, people would say to me, they knew who I was. They wanted to know why I wasn't running. They were pissed off when they found out that they didn't allow me to run. And that say, well, what do we got a choice? We got a choice of a retarded drunk or Kramer, who was the last mayor, in a dress. And so I don't know if Ann Eady is a transgender or just identifies as a man or identifies as a man in a dress. I don't know, but this is a very nefarious group of people. Ann Eady, anyways, the mayor, said the Integrity Commissioner was called in because the informal process failed to resolve the situation. And the situation is you have the mayor and some of the other councilors going, settle down, Gordon, settle down. And Gordon's going, this is completely wrong what's going on. And he said, well, yeah, but we shouldn't get involved. We're the frickin' council, you twits. It's the municipality, which is us, which are destroying these people's lives or attempting to destroy their lives. Scott's father just had a frickin' heart attack over this. And you're telling us, because I can just imagine what this informal process took place. Anyways, before discussion of the report, Campbell declared a conflict of interest and left the council chamber. The complaints against Campbell were fired by the chief administrative officer, Murray Clark, and water and wastewater supervisor, Seamus Anderson. Now, Murray Clark, who is the CAO, the reason I like this, and the reason I'm reading this, is Murray's going to try and get out of here sometime in April. And I first met Murray when he came here, I think when the hell did he get here? 2010, maybe? I went to see him because he's the new CAO, and when I did some research on him, I seen he came from Sydney, British Columbia, which is just outside of Victoria, and he was the CAO there, and had already implemented Agenda 21 into that town, and he was brought here to do the same thing here. So when I had about a 40-minute meeting with him, Murray declared that he never heard of Agenda 21, didn't have a clue what I was talking about, and yada, 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 yada. Even though the CAOs are specifically trained, the paperwork's out there, they're specifically trained to implement UN Agenda 21. So this guy's lying his face off to me square one. And it was 2013 maybe, I was going to go to the council meeting, and or I wasn't sure, I don't like to waste my time up there. But this is the guy who I called and asked him for verification on a question, and so that I could decide whether it was worth my time, and wrote him a little note about it. And nothing in the note, just a simple question. I don't even recall what the damn question was. It was that simple. And told him to call me by 11 o'clock the next morning so that I could make my decision whether or not I was going to go up to council. So the next day, waiting for his phone call at 11, between 10:30 and 11 o'clock, I look out the window, and here comes a whole gaggle of Ontario Provincial Police up the sidewalk. And it kind of made me smile because I had a farmer tell me that morning early, who had sent the note to, said, don't be surprised to get a visit from the boys in blue. And I thought it rather comical when I looked out the window, and here come the boys in blue. Specifically sent there to try to get me upset, riled up, get me boisterous, whatever, so that they could have me charged, or not charged, but have me designated as a threat, so that they could ban me from speaking to the staff or going to council. And the police agreed they were here under false pretenses. None of them gave me any ID. And later on, when I went down and talked to the sergeant at the police station, he agreed that this call came from Murray Clark and probably Mayor, because they're all tied up in this shit together. But wouldn't give me the IDs of the police, and just, it's just a misdemeanor. No, it's not a misdemeanor. It's a breach of freaking trust. Okay, it's a dereliction of duty. So I've been waiting for something like this to come along to strengthen my case. And now that this is here, I intend to put a $5 million lawsuit against Mr. Clark, the police board, and whoever else gets in my way. So thank you, Councillor Campbell, who I will be contacting either tonight or tomorrow. Actually, how long have I known Gordon Campbell? When we moved here in 1969, when I was 14 years old, we actually rented the first house we lived in here because they were building a nuclear plant and there was nowhere to stay. And he had an old, fairly decrepit farmhouse that me and my parents and sisters ended up living in for a period of time. So I've known Gordon a long, long time, and so I'm going to give him a call. Anyways, in his report, Swayze said that he was appointed in October and usually completes his investigation in 90 days, but accepted the request by Campbell for a second personal interview in December, which caused a delay. During the interview with Clark, Swayze heard that there was a 10-year history. Okay, so Clark is the CAO. The CAOs are not elected, but the CAO city managers run the show. Not the mayor. The mayor is just another puppet. The mayor's got one vote. It's the city managers and the CAOs who are specifically designed in the implementation and trained in the implementation of UN Agenda 21 and now 2030, quietly, behind the backs of the people, with no disclosure. And so Clark calls Swayze. Now, so during the interview with Clark, Swayze heard from Clark that there was a 10-year history of Campbell abusing staff, leading to an intervention by a human resources consultant. This is how they operate this shit. A report from the consultant in early 2016 resulted in an apology by the counselor and an undertaking to curb his abusive and harassing behavior. Well, Gordon Campbell is a farmer, and farming ain't easy. And Gordon's problem, I think, is that he was not acting as a human being, which is a animal who is supposed to be domesticated and civilized. Gordon would have been operating in the capacity of a man, and is pissed off about what he sees going on in this municipality. and voices his thoughts on it, which are contrary to the thoughts of the people implementing the agenda. And this is what happened. The complaints filed by Clark and Anderson stem from incidents that happened in the fall. In September of 2016, statements were made by Campbell at a McDonald's restaurant and overheard by a witness interviewed by Swayze. Campbell was critical of Clark and Anderson for their treatment of one of his constituents, which caused the resident to commence a lawsuit against the municipality. Clark alleged that these statements were a continuation of the abuse of staff and that Campbell's support of the legal action against the municipality constituted a conflict of interest. The legal action was brought against the municipality by a citizen concerning actions or the lack of action by municipal staff in accordance with a policy approved by council requiring the replacement of old water meters applicable to all property owners in the municipality. The policy requires the landowners to locate the meter at their cost. Now, this is where Gordon got pissed off. These water meters belong to the municipality. Now, if you want to change these water meters out, it's at the cost of the municipality, not the freaking homeowner. And this is one of the things that would have got, because Gordon's really tight with his money, right? You know? Okay, so you're going to have to change your water meter, which was billed on a monthly deal before, but now they want to bill you, or not on a monthly, on just a flat rate. So they wanted to install the new meters, which charge you per usage. That way they can keep cranking the price up because, of course, the UN wants you to do 75% less water than before, and you couldn't do that before with the other meters. It's the same as the damn smart meters. All a con, all a deception, all the time, all fraud, all the time. So Gordon would be sitting up at McDonald's there, which is they go up there to drink coffee because apparently you can get like as many coffee as you want for $1.50 or whatever. So these old guys go out there and shoot the shit. Clark alleged these statements were a continuation of the abuse of staff and that Campbell supported legal action against municipality constituted a conflict of interest. The legal action was brought against the municipality by citizens concerning actions or lack of action by the municipal staff in accordance. Okay, I already read that. The policy requires the landowners to locate the meter at their cost. Well, again, landowner, what's a landowner? Okay, land and property in the legal definition are abstract concepts. It's not real. Okay, because all of the land is owned by the corporation. So, you know, at the landowner's expense, well, that would be the municipality's expense. The citizen was charged extra for continuing with an old hidden water meter in accordance with the policy, and staff refused to attend at the property to locate it. Campbell accused the staff of improper procedure in a letter which identified himself as a counselor, and it was given to the plaintiff for filing with the court. Now, in other words, what they're saying is that Campbell does not have the right to represent his constituents. And that's correct. That's one of the mistakes Gordon made. But then Gordon don't know this stuff. He thinks that he is there to represent the men and women of the municipality. And I'm going to clue him in on that, and it should really piss him off when he gets this figured out. Because he thinks he's representing the men and women. He is representing the corporation, not the men and women. So that is a conflict of interest, which I'm sure he's scratching his head. Go, how can this be a conflict of interest when I'm representing my constituents? Well, that's not who you represent, Gordon. You represent the corporation. And when you say something bad about the corporation, or you go and actually represent one of the constituents, yes, you're a conflict of interest. And that's really going to piss him off. I know it, because I know he doesn't know that. So Swayze said he concluded that all action by staff in this matter was in accordance with municipal / corporate / UN / globalist / corporate policy. The claim was ultimately dismissed by the court. Why? Because not in the public interest. So what is the public? The public is the corporation. So it's not in the corporation's interest, which is the court, which is the lawyers, which is the municipality. So it's not in their best interest to move this forward. Anyways, on October 16, 2016, in a meeting discussed an invoice attended by a contractor and Anderson, Campbell told Anderson that he failed to do his job and shouldn't be in his current position. The contractor had employed a method known as hydro-excavating to locate a plastic pipe installed years ago without a trace wire. This is the generally accepted practice in the trade, but Campbell, who disagreed with the cost of such a procedure, he expressed his opinion that finding a line between a well and a building require only a backhoe because very high percentage chance is that it was stalled in a straight line. On December 15, 2016, in a meeting with Clark Anderson and another meeting of staff, Campbell asked for some customer information, which Anderson had said he didn't have. Campbell then started shouting at Clark and Anderson, saying, "What good are you if you can't provide account information?" And that's a very interesting word, because we are all accounts. That's what we are in the eyes of this fictional government, this corporate nonsense, is that as all we are accounts. That is why we are accountable. Okay? Last night, Swayze said he took no pleasure in writing this report. He was most concerned with the complaints concerning abuse of staff. Now, when I call government agencies now, be it ministers or premier's office or the prime minister's office or the Ministry of Law and so on and so forth, when I try to get into a discussion, what I end up hearing is that I'm not feeling comfortable. No, I'm not yelling at them. I'm just asking them questions. But they don't feel comfortable, or they feel offended, or whatever. And then that makes me the problem. This is ludicrous, and this has to stop. Let's see, here we are. Any member of council can be critical of staff, but you have to do it appropriately, he said. The concerns must go to senior staff first. That would be the CAO. And be dealt with through the proper processes, which is the CAO or the city manager. Someone not elected to represent anybody, but is in fact in charge of the show. And people got to understand that. Swayze said he was originally going to just issue a warning, but since this is a second offense, a warning was not going to work here. I am recommending you suspend his salary for 30 days, he said, and if this continues, I'll be back. It's Arnold Swayze, I guess. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. This has got to stop. Councillor Laura Height, who is a Marxist communist bitch from hell and a piss tank to boot, and that's the fact, said the Integrity Commission position is fairly new because they're trying to keep the lid on the box as tight as they can, but it's getting loosened up every day now. Schwarzenegger said he has been doing this since 2008. I do the investigation independent of staff and council and then report to council. The reports are public. There is no accountability and transparency as required by the province and all municipalities. Deputy Mayor Jacqueline Foubert, who is also a communist, who was on the police board when I went to the police board hearing, of which the chief and the staff sergeant didn't show up at because they were afraid to face me, who is also an adjunct professor at Simon Fraser University in British Columbia, which is about a gazillion miles away from this municipality. It's on the far side of the country. Noted that the commissioner acts on only the issues in the complaints for which he has been retained by the municipality. I'm entitled to look at the history prior to my being retained as part of my investigation, said Schwarzenegger. As to the penalty, he said he could have gone as high as 90 days of suspended pay. We did try the more informal process at the start, but that didn't work, said Edie. That's why we brought in the integrity commissioner. It is very difficult when it involves a member of council. Well, the one thing is really kind of an oxymoron, or what's the word I'm looking for? I forgot it. That's why we brought in the integrity commissioner. This municipality has no integrity. The mayor has no integrity. The council has no integrity. If there's anyone that has any integrity on his council at all, it's the guy that got suspended. Now, I got a letter from Ann Edie, the mayor, sent me a letter, but it wasn't a letter. I got a letter from the mayor, but the letter that I got was emailed to me by the CAO, not the mayor. And that letter that was sent to me via the CAO, the letter from the mayor, was also CC'd to who? The police. Okay? I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous what's going on here. And this same thing this is not a one-off. This exact same modus operandi is going on in every city, town, village, council in North America. And I hear people all the time bitching and complaining about the Rothschilds and George Soros and all the rest of this shit. Forget that garbage. Forget left and right. All of this is going on in your backyard. And if you do not have the capacity to change something in your backyard, then you have no capacity whatsoever. This is damn serious stuff. And I years ago, I was talking to people about stuff that was going on here and said, well, yeah, I know it's getting really bad, but I'll be hopefully long dead and gone by the time they get it all put together. In other words, you don't give a shit about your children, your grandchildren, those not yet born. You don't give a shit about nothing, okay? Because you're already dead. Because only a dead man would lay down and do nothing when this kind of shit's breathing down your neck. Let's see. Height shared her, said she shared, let me see, where am I at here? Clark said he wanted to make further comments that would be important to all of council to hear. However, Edie said there would be no comments by him or Campbell given the final report from the Integrity Commissioner. Height said, this is a total Marxist, said she shared Schwarzenegger's unease about this situation. Even this issue, Integrity Commissioner's report, was addressed at McDonald's yesterday morning. So they're saying that the councillor cannot speak with his constituents about what's going on at the council regarding anything including the Integrity Commissions. Boo, 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 Mr. Campbell. I'm going to have some fun with this one. This should just about open a can of worms wide open if I can get Gordon to get his shit together here. In a recorded vote, Committee of the Whole adopted the recommendation of the Integrity Commissioner for Campbell to lose a month's pay for violating the Council Code of Conduct in a 7-1 vote. Councillor Randy Ropel was the lone voice against. Well, Randy Ropel is a odd duck. I've spoken with Randy many, many times. And Randy agreed that the council, the CAO, and everybody should be taken out back and hung from a tree. He agreed with that. But he said they couldn't do it because they didn't have any trees big enough. So I said, well, why don't we just go get some rope and we'll put it around them and tie them to the saplings, and then we'll do a lottery as to when the rope gets tight in whatever year, and the closest one wins the jackpot, and it'll be a good tourist attraction as well. But Randy is a Mason, and Randy is what I call the good cop, because the rest of the council, except for Gordon, who wasn't there the last council, but Randy's been there since I think, let's see, Randy was on the Tiverton Council. That was a small town north of here before it was amalgamated into the municipality of Kincardine. So Randy's been on council for a long time. Always comes across as the good cop, but he's the Mason. And so he ain't the good cop, he's the deceiver. And so that leaves Gordon sitting out on the sidewalk. That was endorsed later by council with the same record vote of 7-1 in favor of the recommendation. Comment in the story, click here. This shit has been going on for so long, it is ridiculous. And it's unfortunate, because it is destroying not just your municipalities and your towns and your cities. Which are all municipalities, but it is destroying any possible future for the children. And we need to take responsibility for that. We need to step up to the plate on this sort of thing. Now, here's something I'm going to put in. I'm sure that this goes on in the United States as well, but this is in Ontario, and I'm sure it's going on in other provinces in this country. And it's the old Vice thing. Okay, you got the not the CIOs, but the NGOs and the do-gooders, the preachers and that, the union bosses. And they push all of this stuff from the bottom. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always based on the same template, same mode operandi to move stuff forward. So I found this thing called the Law Union of Ontario. And it was supposedly founded, it says it was founded in 1974. It's a coalition. There's a coalition of over 200 progressive lawyers, law students, and legal workers. And what is their tag for the Law Union of Ontario? Not justice for all, right? Agitate and litigate. This is a Marxist faction. Now they're pushing for rights of illegal immigrants. And they're not immigrants, illegals, just illegals. You can't add anything to it. You're an illegal, or I suppose an alien maybe. And these are lawyers, and Shakespeare was right, and he said, first, kill all the lawyers. And again, I do not condone going out and killing anybody, but metaphorically, we need to remove the so-called power that they possess, because we're really ruled by the lawyers. The lawyers are the ones that write the law, which is not law at all, and they are the ones who rise to the heads of state, to all the important positions in cabinets and whatnot, and they're extremely nefarious. So I can't find the names of any of these people except for one to date, and that is here's the this is the Law Union of Ontario by Robert Martin. I don't know This was 1985, Law and Policy, Volume 7, 1st of January 1985. Copyright Basil Blackwell. The law union dates back to the summer of 1967 when a group of law students at the University of Toronto joined with a lawyer to form an organization called the Village Bar. The organization offered legal services which concentrally meant protection against the police to the large number of young people who had been attracted to Toronto's Yorkville area. The central actors were Paul Copeland and Clayton Ruby, who's a very, very famous lawyer here, both of whom have figured significantly in the affairs of the law union. The Village Bar operated Canada's first storefront legal clinic. The legal profession was not pleased. The group was eventually forced to give up the name Village Bar. A number of our art-learning students were discouraged by their firms from taking part. By the end of 1967, the counterculture was beginning to reveal its nastier side, and the Village Bar did not survive the bursting of the Yorkville bubble. During 68-69, legal advice was dispensed from a trailer parked in a vacant lot near the Yorkville area. Indeed, throughout its subsequent history, the law union has remained attached to this part of Toronto. The trailer project involved Copeland and Ruby, some of the people who had been active in the Village Bar, and a number of law students from the University of Toronto. A significant amount of work was directed at counseling United States citizens opposed to the Vietnam War, who then were arriving in Toronto in substantial numbers. In 1969, Copeland and Ruby began to practice law together. Thus, even before the formation of the law union, a group of people in Toronto of generally progressive political inclinations, call that Marxism, or globalism, or UNism, had acquired experience working together on orthodox forms of lawyering. On May 9, 1970, there was a major demonstrations all across North America against the United States invasion of Cambodia. One of these was held outside the United States Consulate General in downtown Toronto. Many people were arrested. Their defense was coordinated by the firm of Copeland and Ruby. A degree of coerciousness began to develop among the lawyers involved, and after a series of meetings during the summer of 1970. Now, let me see here. I don't know if I have all these links for the time for it, but Clayton Ruby became high up in the Law Society of Upper Canada. Now, Clayton Ruby, let me just see if I can grab, let's see here if I can get this, how much time I got? Not much. But anyways, Clayton Ruby became a lawyer. He was born in Toronto, but I believe did Clayton Ruby die? Good for him. Well, maybe that's what they made. Why that's why they put him into the born February 6, 42, age 75. Doesn't say he's dead. And I think it was Clayton Ruby who took Michael Schmidt for $100,000 and then came back for another $300,000 in order to defend him against these charges. And Michael just said, "Piss off! I'll do it myself." Clayton Ruby is one of Canada's leading defense lawyers, an outspoken proponent of freedom of the press, yada, yada, yada. But he ended up is pretty much in the head of the Law Society of Upper Canada. And I think he got, let's see, born in Toronto, Bachelor of Arts degree, York University, earned a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Toronto. It was called Bar 69. He earned a Master of Laws, not in Toronto, but at the University of California, Berkeley. And that would say why he is part of this union of the law union. It's the only name I can find attached to the law union. Normally, when you have something that's doing something good, not even doing something good, you say who's on the board and who's this and who's that, but not this union of lawyers. But Ruby was also made a member of the Order of Canada. And this is another thing. It's the very same thing as the all of these awards people get. If you go and you look at the names of these people and you study these people, these are all people working for the globalist agenda. All of them, in one form or another. And they're held up as these great citizens of the country. They're so far from that, it's ridiculous. They are the problem. These people that go in and get voted into these high orders and that, they are the problem. They're not the good people. They're the bad people. So the law union, let me go back here to where we get to here. And this is the Law Union of Ontario statement of support for no one is illegal. Now, these are lawyers and law students. What do you mean no one's illegal? What happened to federal immigration law? So I'm going to stick this in the chat. And this is part of the teardown of our nations. And we best pay attention to it because they're opening the floodgates. And unless we want what happened in Germany and France and Sweden and so many other places, we need to step up to the plate. It's not like we don't know what's coming. It's not like we're first in line. Everything that ends up here started in Europe and works its way across. So we always got a couple of year timeline at least from when they start it in Europe till it gets here, and we don't seem to notice it. I don't know how stupid we could possibly get, but this is damn serious stuff. So I'm going to put this in, and you can read this about, this is the law union, no less, saying no one is illegal. But make no mistake, you are still accountable because you are an account. So I'll put that in there, and I guess I will go and have, why did that not paste in there? The Law Union of Ontario, and I guess I will go and dig up a pig and eat it, and maybe I'll rub it all over me, and then maybe I'll go to a Muslim conference or something and see if anybody smells the bacon grease on me over the stench of Islam. I'm sure Islam will overpower the smell of my pig grease. Anyways, that's the show for today, everybody. It's going to get real interesting here. I'm digging up some really, really interesting stuff that has nothing whatsoever to do with Donald Trump or Justin Trudeau or any of these people. These people are not important. You are important. You are important. They are not. So everybody take care, and I got a 5-day court case to look at here. So take care. We're back Saturday night. Have a fantastic
selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line, lower class and social slime. They don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one thinks countries lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives.
You are listening